Welcome back, sports fans, to my channel. Okay, let's talk about this right here because the No Bull Tour. Oh my goodness. So I know a lot of people done talked about this, but I'm gonna get my own spin about this right now, and we're gonna talk about some stuff that a lot of people don't talk about. But first, I want to say this is crazy. this is. Let's talk about first, before I get into a lot of stuff that people don't talk about, let's get into the fact that Jordan won his sixth championship in 1998, okay? This team was broken up in 1998, okay? Jordan's career was pretty much over in 1998. I know a lot of people try to extend it to the Wizards to give LeBron some type of credibility. I don't know why, because he's not winning championships at 38, 39, or 40. I mean, he might. You never know in this crazy NBA. Nobody knows. But, Jordan won all his rings and got all his accolades within those 13 seasons, which really is 11 seasons. So the NBA is that bad that we're still talking about Michael Jordan. And I know people are going to say, no, this is his teammates. But no, we talk about Michael Jordan on a regular basis as far as the NBA, comparing him. I mean, this guy's so great. Now you got the Tom Brady and the Mahomes debate, right? Michael Jordan is so great. You got this debate now. And the Jordan LeBron debate, it done sparked all kind of different debates. You know what I'm saying? You got people trashing Eminem now, putting him against people. And, this is always going to be the norm now because Jordan was so great that they're always going to start these debates between different players. Now you can see it's in music. It's just going to keep snowballing downhill in different avenues. So let's talk about this real quick. First, we got to think about the Last Dance. All these guys, Horace Grant, Luke Longley, Scottie Pippen, Kerr, everybody that was on those Bulls championship teams, they were sat down and they were told what was going to get put in there. They got to see the documentary before it came out. I mean, I don't know what fool wouldn't ask for money. I mean, you could sue them if you said, no, I don't want my name in here. I don't want my image in here. No, these guys signed off on everything, or they were okay with everything, or they signed off verbally, whatever. So I really don't know what these guys are talking about. If anything, The Last Dance, it helped. It helped all Jordan's teammates, because who was talking about Pippen before The Last Dance came out? Nobody was. Nobody was. And then all of a sudden he exploded on the scene, because you got to remember, before The Last Dance, Pippen was talking good about Jordan. He would go on ESPN, say he'd never take LeBron over Jordan. He'd never pick LeBron to take a last shot. Michael Jordan is the greatest. All this stuff. And as soon as The Last Dance came out, boom. Here come Pippen trashing him. Said he wasn't a good player. All this nonsense. And the same with a lot of players. Nobody even knew who these players were. I mean, basketball fans know who these players were, but nobody was talking about a Horace Grant, a Luke Longley before The Last Dance. And look, I guess these guys are broke. I don't know. They should have took their money and invested it. I'm sure they get some kind of pension from the NBA. Yeah, they should have took those millions and invested. So they had a chance. We all know that Pippen made more money than Jordan in his career. I don't know what he did with his money. And Horace Grant made money. So I don't know what these guys did with millions of dollars. I'm sure it's hard to or easy to blow that type of money. when you got millions, really. I mean, it's easy and it's not easy, really, because if you just lay low and I don't know, I guess you can invest, but you got to watch out too, because you don't want your money to be invested in something and it goes down and then you're screwed. Um, when I got money like that, I would have just started a business. That's what I would have just started, like, a business here, little, car wash business and landscape business, all these little businesses. I would have started a little restaurant, and that's how you keep money coming in, and you'll be good to go. You don't want to put all your money into one big business per se, and then something happens to that business, and then you're screwed. Um, Although you can file for bankruptcy and really never lose no money. That's what Trump did for years. So let's get into the fact that Jordan was a so-called butthole, okay? And if anybody knows anything about the 80s, you can understand how Jordan became a butthole, right? Okay, because nobody in the 80s knew Jordan as a butthole. Nobody was saying this. 85, 84, 85, 86, 87, 88, 89. Nobody really was saying Jordan was a butthole. Nobody was, okay? So, but you gotta understand why he became a butthole. When this guy came into the league, Bobby Knight and other players were saying, well, other coaches were saying this guy was the greatest of all time. He could be the greatest of all time. He has skills that nobody else possessed, right? So we all know he won the Olympics, and before he went to the Olympics, he played with collegiate players that were, I would say, were pretty good. They were first round draft picks, and some of them were lottery picks, and they went on to play NBA players before they went to the Olympics, to be professional players overseas. And a lot of people done heard these stories, how they beat Bird, McHale, Thomas, Magic. I don't know if Worthy was on those teams, but these were like the top echelon NBA players at the time, and they just destroyed them. Michael Jordan and his collegiate all-stars that were going to play in the Olympics destroyed the NBA players. So people already knew in the NBA that Michael Jordan maybe could be the greatest of all time. Okay? So when he did come into the league, he came into the league playing with a bunch of nobodies. Okay? Forget about the fact that, we've all heard that, some of his teammates were doing drugs, drinking all the time, blah, blah, blah. I think that was a big thing in the 80s, period. I don't think it was just with Michael Jordan's team. I think a lot of guys did that, period, okay? And hell, Michael Jordan in the 90s was known to drink, okay? I don't know if it was before a game, but the night before, he was known to drink. I don't think that was until maybe his second three-peat, but you gotta understand, these guys are really physically fit. They have money. They want to party. That's just how it is. So I wouldn't really dwell on that part too much. What I would dwell on is the fact that his teammates sucked. His teammates sucked. A lot of people like to point to Orlando Woolridge, who never even made an all-star team. He was decent. He could give you some points, but a lot of people like to point to, he scored 22 points in this series or 26 points in this series. But bro, this guy was not consistent, okay? He wasn't doing that every series or every game or something like that. He was not a consistent player. So one Mikal came into the league. I mean, not Mikal. Bird came into the league. He had pretty good players. Cornbread, what's his name? Cornbread Maxwell. He had, what's his name? Tiny Archibald. He had pretty decent players, and then he went on to get Kevin McHale right away. I think second or third season, and then Robert Parrish, and they pretty much ran the East, okay, up until like '88, and then you got Magic. You know, he came into the league. He had Kareem. Eventually, he had Worthy, but he had great players automatically, just like Bird, and then Moses Malone and Dr. J. They ultimately formed together. And let's don't forget about Dennis Johnson. He also had Dennis Johnson. And so you got to think about Michael Jordan was going against all this competition for all these years with no help. His let's see, 85, 86, 87. So really, not until his fourth year when he got Pippen, he was really of no help. He averaged 20 points, or not, 7 points a game in the regular season, was a bench player. And it was so bad. It was so bad, but that when the playoffs came, they had to put Pippen in the starting lineup in '88, a guy who averaged 7 points a game. 7 points a game. Threw this guy to start in the '88 playoffs, and he pooped his pants. 10 points a game. Where he allegedly got Jordan to the second round, where Jordan averaged like 45 points a game in that series. And the next round against the Pistons, this guy averaged like, it was crazy. I think he averaged 7 points a game. That's what Pippen averaged. So, and then we go on to the bad boy. Like I said, by the time they played the Pistons in '88 in the second round, they had a squad. Bill Laimbeer, Isaiah, Dumars, Rodman. I mean, the list just goes on and on. Jordan's squad was pretty much a joke. Okay, I think Horace Grant, it was his first year. Bill Cartwright, he could barely walk. It's a joke. And then you go to '89, it's the same thing. It's the same thing. These guys are a joke, okay? '89, Scottie Pippen really isn't no better. He averages a little bit more points, okay? Big deal. Horace Grant, big deal. By the time that era came, '88, '89, that's when the Pistons took over in the East. They had, 3 to 4 Hall of Famers? So you pretty much playing the Celtics all over again. By the time you get to '88, '89, '90, because the Celtics done got knocked off by the Pistons. And you don't even have a teammate who even is all-star relevant yet. Okay, so what I'm saying is Jordan was winning all these awards in the 80s. From '88, my fault, 85 all the way until '90. He was the greatest, the best player in the '90s. Okay, 87, go look at his stats. Go look at over 100 blocks, over 200 steals, 37 points per game. And this guy still couldn't even win MVP or get on a defensive team. What? And y'all say that the league was weak back then? Go look at his stats in '80s. What was it? I think '88 was crazy too. No, he won in '88. '89, he had crazy stats too. He didn't win no MVP. So by the time we got to the '90s and Jordan started winning in '91, you got to remember, Jordan went through getting swept, playing his butt off, set records in the playoffs, the regular season. His rookie year, he led his team in 4 different statistical categories. Nobody has ever did that as a rookie, not even Wilt Chamberlain. And Maybe so. Maybe Wilt would have did it if they would have recorded blocks. But bro, you got to think they was kicking Jordan's team's butt, right? All through the 80s. Jordan, they weren't kicking Jordan's butt. Okay, he was better than all these players that he was getting beat by a margin. And it wasn't like today. You just couldn't go super team up like that. It wasn't like that. So to me, look, I'm gonna do another video on this, but from what I think Jordan had a blueprint and mapped everything out, because he never had no big free agent come to his team in the offseason. And a lot of these players did get big time free agent names. They wasn't always in their prime, but still, the Celtics got Dennis Johnson. What they get? Robert Parrish. I forget this guy's name that the Lakers got before Worthy got there. They got this guy. You even had the Pistons in the 80s get some big names. Jordan never got no big names. So to me, I think Jordan was pretty much mapping this thing out for the future. Everything that he did when he was a rookie, all the way until he retired, he did a lot of incredible stuff that nobody ever did, and it was pretty much by himself, teaching other teammates how to win. Okay, he wasn't getting great players, and they was winning championships. He was teaching average players how to be good by losing. Yeah, they had to lose first. So I'm gonna tell you what. By the time the 90s came, all these teams was out to clear. The Pistons, pretty much the Lakers, the Celtics, and a lot of people are gonna say, "Well, he beat nobody." No, he didn't have no super team to beat nobody. They needed a super team to beat him. Okay. Yes, you might say he had a super team in the second three-peat. They were the oldest team in the damn league. The oldest team in the league was winning. Okay? They was winning off of fundamentals. They wasn't winning off of athleticism. They was winning off of fundamentals. I know the Celtics were young in the 80s, but they weren't winning off of athleticism. They was winning off of fundamentals. The Lakers in the 80s, they was winning off of, I would say, both. But they were winning more off of athleticism. The Showtime Lakers, which to me is the greatest team of all time. 2 top 5 players on the same team, and then a top 75 player. That's the greatest team of all time. And look how many they went to the finals, like 8 times together. You can really say 9 if we don't count Kareem Abdul-Jabbar in that one final. So Jordan had every right to be a butthole when the 90s came, because he wanted, by the time those other teams was out to clear and they couldn't beat him with super teams no more, guess what? He was trying to do something that nobody else did. Win them 6 rings and do 2 3-peats and, win 60 games. Like, what, they won 60 games like 4 or 5 times? Come on, man. And never lost 2 games. Never lost 3 games or something like that in the 90s. So trust me, Jordan had every right to be a butthole once the 90s came. Once the 90s came, the beating that he took from the Celtics, from the Pistons, you would be a butthole too. You know what I'm saying? He wasn't working with what Magic had. He had Kareem, or what Kareem had. He had Magic. And look, even those Pistons teams, they were better than the Bulls teams. Only thing with is, Jordan eventually taught his team how to beat the Pistons. So you guys tell me what you think. Jordan had every right to be a butthole. So in the 90s.